Good afternoon. I don't know what time afternoon, but I was getting ready to fill up some of my sugar boxes. As you can see, some of them I don't really need to do much with. But one thing I noticed last year, the boxes that, see, the boxes that were filled up like this one and pretty much sealed up, they had more problem with moisture than the ones that the corners were kind of open. So I'm going to go through in these older ones, if they're sealed up, I'm going to kind of cut the sugar out of the corners. Plus it gives the bees another access point. But that's what we're going to do. And this is what I'm doing for the Nook bank. And then I'm going to fill the upper vent, upper door or whatever with burlap, and I'm going to put a staple in it. You know, they can open it up if they want to, but they probably won't. They'll probably finish closing it up, but that way a little bit of air can get drawn through. And then I wanted to show how my lids work with these. Let me set you up back here. Okay, so the way I built these, they basically make an insulated lid or feeding system, because they slot down and so my inner walls are, you know, over 2 inches thick, and then we're double walled. And then what happens is this lip will seep down into the inside of the box, helping seal it off a little bit. See if here you can kind of see how there's a lip. Yeah. None of the boxes are very accessible, but that'll seep down onto it and sits directly on the frames, and then it'll seal up partly, and then I'll run some painter's tape along the outside. But then that way it makes for an insulated cavity, kind of like the attic in your house. If you understand how the attic in your house works, you'll kind of understand a little bit of why I do this. But then what I do, I take real cheap burlap and I cut it, you know, cut a hole in it. But what happens, I have to refilm this part and insert it in. Besides, with holding the camera, I can show you a little better. So when I load them, you can kind of see with this burlap, you know, how the sugar kind of soaks into it. With that damp sugar, it gets kind of pressed down into this, you know, kind of like that, kind of like here, and then that lets the moisture come up from underneath and absorb into the burlap, and you know, and come up into it, and it keeps this damp but not so much that it's dripping down onto the bees. I think that the burlap works because the fibers absorb that stuff that's too wet, but it worked really good last year. Here, this one shows pretty good. Yeah, see? It's all dry now, and this year I'm going to come in and cut the corners out so they'll sit kind of like that. So then that way it'll allow the bees to cycle, or come up and not just not just the center hole, that sort of thing. I was putting together the video and I noticed that section I didn't zoom back out, so I wanted to show you. Now, one thing I did on my prototype that I didn't do on any of these ones is, one, I added in my latches that I'd like to put on everything, but I also drilled them to match the vent holes. But I found last year that, or I thought last year that when I implemented this, I wanted to try step by step, and between the shelters and these, I didn't really have too much. I mean, you can see some of the where it molded a little bit, but I didn't get all moldy, and it let the bees feed all winter long. So yeah, see here, I've started kind of cleaning the sugar out of the corner, and I'm going to leave these open. But ooh, knock stuff over. But yeah, I needed to do a, and you can see how it works good in my opinion. I'll reload this. It smells okay. That's what we're doing. That's my winter feeding system. I like how the lid seats down over it, and I end up with a nice thick wall on the side. So we get kind of like the attic in your house. It allows that excess moisture to come up, and then that excess moisture condenses on this and runs off, and then drips down onto the sugar, absorbs into it. Worked good last year. Let my bees eat, they weren't eating dry sugar, they were eating, I don't know what you'd call it, kind of a real thick sugar slurry almost. Oh, I think it was like 14 pounds of sugar, 12 pounds of sugar. And some of them ate it all. Well, 2 of them or 3 of them ate it all. And then most of them ate a little bit and what have you. But you can kind of see on this one how this was this one was from those Caucasians, and they devoured it. They're one of the ones that ate a lot of sugar. But you can see where they've chewed the burlap out. Doesn't matter to me. But yeah, see, I want to keep it open kind of like this one is. Most of these, and this is that reject sugar or whatever, budget sugar. Most of these I'm just going to put on them. I might put a little bit. That's got plenty of weight to it. That one I'm going to open up the corners. Put a little bit on that one. So what, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see, 17, 16, 15, 14. So 4 of them. Yeah, we'll use this one. That's what we're going to do. Make these ones look like those ones. I'll dump them in here and use it to mix stuff in. That's the next task. So there you have it. I don't know, you probably don't really care too much about watching the process. There's plenty of good videos out there for that. But that's what I do. Blessed days, everyone. Bye. Thought I'd mention my buddy Harris, that Commercial Beekeeper. He runs kind of a similar system, but not configured to work with these kind of lids. It's just you know, the single feeding shim. But that's what he does for winter too. And maybe he'll do a video on his system. He's kind of changing it up a little bit this year. I'll be kind of interested to see how it works. But yep, honeybee feed.